How do you know if a guy likes you or he's just being friendly? And man, do I wish I knew this answer before I got married. I asked my husband, and we both had the same conclusion that this is not a definitive answer because every guy does things differently. And also, how the lost world operates is different than how the church operates, and different churches have different cultures where if a guy is interested in you, he might approach your father. That's the first sign that, he feels it might be disrespectful to just try to cozy up to you without talking to your father first. But that's not always the case. You might meet somebody at work who is interested in you, who might be a Christian or might go to a different church. You just have a different culture. And so I would say there are several things. The first is, does he actually say affectionate things to you? Like, I really enjoy being around you. Is it personal? Or does he just have the same, like my husband and I are both very extroverted and very friendly to everyone. And so you have to look and say, is this how he treats everyone? Or is he going out of his way specifically to talk to me? And I'm not, you have to be careful because a lot of times we want something so much that we might read into it. Like, oh, well, he only really wears this blue shirt when he's, you know what I'm saying? Like, we just notice stuff and then we assume that it's because of us. So you have to be careful of that. But if you can see he specifically goes out of his way to talk to you versus being the type of person who goes specifically out of their way to make sure that they greet everybody because they're very friendly and want to make sure that everybody feels accepted or welcomed. So is it personal? But also, if he says to you, hey, I'm going to this activity, are you also going? That is a sign that he's interested in you particularly. He wants to make sure that you're gonna be there, and your being there is helping him know if he wants to be there. So if he consistently has that, and he's not just a natural event planner. Hey, everybody, we're gonna go here. Are you gonna go? Are you gonna go? You're gonna go? You're gonna go? But he takes a concerted effort. Are you gonna go? I wasn't sure if I was gonna go. But if you're gonna go, things like that. But also, if there is a big activity and he knows that you're going and he says he's gonna be there, but then he doesn't show up, I would probably say, especially since guys don't necessarily want risk, or guys in the church, they don't want risk, that those activities are really important to them and they're not going to miss it if you're going to be there. But if they consistently miss activities that you are also at, then they're probably not that into you. That book, I haven't actually read the He's Not That Into You book, but if you just go Google the 10 points of how to know if he's not that into you, they are definitely not Christian, but they have some sound observations in them. Intermittent kindness. I see this a lot, especially in teenage boys, where they'll be nice to you one moment and then they ignore you or they say rude things to you another time. Even if they do like you, that's not a good situation. That's not, it's just not. You don't want that in marriage, and so don't accept that in the dating scenario. Even if they show some sign of affection, if they turn around and it's a roller coaster, stay away from that. He hasn't made in any investment in getting to know your family. That's a good sign that he's not into you in that type of scenario, because in our Christian culture, getting to know the other person's family is a big, big part of that next step of relationships. And if he's involved with somebody else, or he seems to be showing all those signs that I just said, but to somebody else, he's probably just really friendly, but has his eye on somebody else. you're friends for a while, quite a while. When I say a while, like more than 4 to 5 months, where you're consistently, when you are at activities with each other, church activities, and you guys might end up next to each other talking, but after 4 or 5 months, he still hasn't made any sign of affection or singling you out. He probably just thinks you're a really, really good friend. And this is a term, which isn't a Christian term, but it's called breadcrumbing, where they feed you crumbs of affection that never lead to anything. And that is so difficult because they are leading you along and they enjoy the intention. They don't want to release you so that you can go off, because you might be loyal and empathetic and think, well, maybe he really likes me and I kind of really like him, and would it be bad for me to be interested in this other guy? And so you could have met somebody else, but you have given your attention to this other guy and you've waited for him, but it really was nothing. And that's why I stress over and over to meet as many people as possible, and until they make a commitment to you, or they talk to your dad, or they really overtly say, hey, I'm interested in you, do you want to go on a date? Do not commit to somebody. Just be friends and a godly encouragement to them. Because a lot of times there are manipulative Christian guys who will give you those breadcrumbs of affection, or they'll give you their phone number and then they'll text you and it leads to inappropriate things, but he's not making it public. He's just using you because he's tapping into you as a source to feed his ego or his lusts. So those types of things. Yeah, and if he never arranges a date, you have the right, if somebody is showing you some continual attention, to say, hey, so I really like you and we get along really, really well. It's like Ruth, and Naomi's like, hey, he's showed some invested attention in you. How about you go lay by his feet and be all like, hey buddy, what's up? I'm not saying go lay by his feet, but what's wrong with if somebody has shown you some affection and singled you out, and it's been more than a couple months, to suggest, hey, so is this going anywhere? Because I'm getting really attached to you and I'm wondering if this is mutual, or are we just good friends? And let the answer be there so you can move on emotionally. So that's my answer, an 8-minute answer. I'm trying to be shorter.